Mark Levin here. The post-election economy could be a minefield of inflation, massive debt, and currency instability. That's why I count on gold for my financial protection. When it comes to gold, I only trust Advantage Gold. They're one of the top gold companies in America, and that's who I turn to for my own investments. Call them now, 800-900-8000, for a free gold investment kit, and see if you qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Don't wait and see if post-election chaos destroys your savings. Act preemptively. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
It's Mark Levin. Our number, 877-381-3811. Hello. 877-381-3811. Our foot is on the gas pedal. It's pushed all the way to the floor. It's Friday, but we don't waste any time. I hope you're well. You know, maybe it's me, but this election cycle with the Democrats and the media and their surrogates, it's more filled with hustlers and hucksters than I can ever remember. We got Bill Clinton here in Durham, North Carolina yesterday saying that Donald Trump's going to call the military on Americans. We've got Mark Cuban saying that Donald Trump is going to steal Christmas from you with tariffs. I mean, seriously, folks? We've got Kamala Harris, perhaps the laziest candidate in American history, saying Donald Trump is tired and lazy. We've got Bob Woodward saying that Netanyahu's prolonging the war to stay out of jail. I mean, I can go on and on and on. They're nuts. They're lunatics. Lunatics. And then they want you to believe there's something's wrong with us. They want you to believe that somebody like me, who has spent his life writing about, thinking about, defending the Constitution in courtrooms, at the Justice Department, in books, and with you, defending the Constitution against them, would vote for somebody in Donald Trump who's opposed to democracy. Well, it is they who keep talking about the Constitution is old. It was written by old white slaveholders, that it was written in order to enshrine the slave, white dominant society mentality. I mean, they're so nuts. They are so nuts. And then they're oligarchs, the Democrat Party oligarchs. They raise enough money to keep spewing this stuff. And, of course, they have their media, the Al Jazeera, Pravda American media, literally giving tens of billions of dollars in free platforms and coverage to promote this. It's really incredible. You've got a guy running for the Senate in Pennsylvania, Bob Casey, who's been going hard left. That's exactly what Schumer tells him to do. He's voting out there with Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. All of a sudden, he's for fracking. And he's for tariffs on trade. What? They're desperate, and so they get dumber and nuttier by the second. And then we have a federal judge in Washington, D.C. by the name of Tanya Chutkan. Tanya Chutkan should never, ever have been confirmed as a judge. She is a radical in robes. That's exactly what she is. My first book, My first book, I had a chapter called Radical in Robes, and she's the perfect illustration of it. She's busy setting a schedule for a trial for Donald Trump that cannot be held until next year. But she's actually changing the rules of evidence and normal motion processes. So the unconstitutional Jack Smith violated the appointments clause when he was appointed, so he can keep filing papers and releasing them in the middle of the election, and it's an amazing thing. Our friends at the New York Sun point out that this guy Jack Smith, he files like a 165-page brief, 3 to 4 times longer than any brief is normally allowed, but she said fine, filled with hyperbole, filled with spectacular BS, allegations against Donald Trump. It reads like an essay. It reads like a Jamie Raskin impeachment charge. And wouldn't you know, 4 or 5 days later, Kamala Harris is using it in campaigns throughout the battleground states. And wouldn't you know, today, she released more stuff. Nearly 1,900 pages of documents collected by Jack Smith. They were initially filed under seal. And what does she do? Even though they're heavily redacted, she releases them today, on a Friday, 2.5 weeks before the election. She's clearly interfering with this election. And in my view, she not only should be disrobed, she should be disbarred. Smith, of course, should be disbarred, but she absolutely should be disbarred. This doesn't comply with an appearance of a conflict. It's not an appearance of a conflict. It's a reality of a conflict. She was appointed by Obama. She's a radical Marxist. She's on the bench for life, for God's sakes. She treats her courtroom like some kind of a Soviet-style, Stalinist-style propaganda operation, just signing off on the release of documents left and right, right before the election. She set the schedule. And rather than the defense filing motions, which is what's normal, and the prosecution responding, we actually have the prosecution filing motions. And even over at CNN, their legal analyst said, well, that's not how it works. The defense files motions, then the government responds. She's allowing the government to file motions, and then the defense is responding. Absolutely outrageous. And of course she won't recuse herself. Stalinist judges never recuse themselves. So while they're talking about dictatorship and he's going to round up people and use the military, it is they. It is they who are using the court system. It is they who are using prosecutors. It is they who are putting this information out in the public record. A man can't even defend himself in the course of an election. She should be disbarred. There's absolutely no question about it. And they're scared to death. They're scared to death Trump will win and that he'll try and address some of this. So they act like he's the dictator. He's the one who's anti-democratic. He's the one that will use the legal system against his political opponent. They're doing it all against him right now. We don't have to guess. That's exactly what they're doing. The party of slavery, the party of segregation, the party of Jim Crow, the party of eugenics, now the party of Marxism and Islamism, never the party of Americanism, never the party of constitutionalism. They're going at it full bore. So what's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. They know that if they win this election, they didn't care if they run Kamala Harris or they run Minnie Mouse. It didn't matter to them. She's filling a seat, just like you see Biden. And the most radical among them, the Marxists and the Islamists, they're peppered throughout our government. They're peppered now throughout the judiciary. If they can get 4 more years appointing federal judges, 4 more years getting Supreme Court appointees, 4 more years of using the Department of Justice the way they are, issuing regulations, issuing fiats, executive orders, the border wide open, another 40 or 50 million illegal aliens coming into this country. They know, I know, you know. Then it's over. Doesn't matter if there's another election. Then it's over. And they know Donald Trump knows it. They know we know it. But of course, Liz Cheney and the rest of the reprobates, they hate Trump more than they love the country. They hate Trump more than they love the country. And they want to take out the Supreme Court. Why? Because they don't get the answers that they want. Because so far, for the most part, the Supreme Court has stood up against this tyranny. has ruled against this tyranny for the most part. So they figure, all right, we own the Supreme Court. We have in the past, and we have to own it now. So what should we do? We'll expand it. We'll kill the filibuster rule. We'll expand the Supreme Court. You don't need a constitutional amendment to do it. We'll have the presidency. We'll have the Senate. We'll have the House. There's not a damn thing they can do about it. What else will they do? They'll defy the Constitution. They'll create 2 more states, Puerto Rico and the District of Columbia. They'll have 4 more Democrat senators so the Republicans can never have a majority in the Senate. What else are they going to do? And look at the Department of Justice. Non-citizens self-identify in Alabama and Virginia. I'm a non-citizen. They're on the rolls to vote. The governor of Virginia says, okay, you're a non-citizen, you're on the rolls to vote. Okay, we're removing you. The Department of Justice goes into federal court and says, no, you can't do that. The Department of Justice. They say it's a waiting period, a 90-day waiting period under the federal law. No, it's not. That federal law, I just looked it up, talks about a systemic change to the voting rolls. These are individuals who self-identify as non-citizens. It has nothing to do with a large-scale or substantial or systemic change to the voting rolls. It has nothing to do with it. It's not about policy or ideology. They said they're non-citizens. Under the federal and state constitution in Virginia, they don't get the vote. So, according to the Department of Justice, the Republican governor of Virginia is supposed to close his eyes. The Republican governor of Alabama, they're supposed to close their eyes. This is how they institutionalize fraud. They know exactly what they're doing. And then, of course, anytime there's a Republican who's interviewed on these damnable Sunday shows or any of their shows, are you going to accept the results of the election? I don't know. Did Al Gore accept the results of the 2000 election? He still says he won. I don't know. Did John Kerry accept the results of the 2004 election? He said he won. Did Jamie Raskin or a slew of Democrats accept the results of the 2016 election when they were challenging Trump on the floor of the House? Or when they impeached him twice and tried to imprison him while he was president of the United States with a criminal investigation? Do they accept the results of any election? Tell me. When Jamie Raskin and 40 or 50 other Democrats have made it clear that they will not accept the results if Donald Trump wins the election. They won't accept it. And if he manages to get the votes, that they will immediately move to impeach him using Jack Smith's filings in front of Judge Chunkin. Are they going to accept the results of the election? They never accept the results of election. They tried to impeach Reagan, for God's sakes. They removed Richard Nixon. They didn't accept the election of George W. Bush. They didn't accept the election of Donald Trump. And now they're out there, desperate, because Kamala Harris sucks. She sucks. She's always sucked. She was a lousy DA, a lousy attorney general, a lousy senator, a do-nothing lousy vice president. She stinks to the core. She's a self-promoter, self-aggrandizing narcissist. That's what she is. She doesn't love America. How can you be to the left of Bernie Sanders, who's a Stalinist, and love your country? How? I want to know. Well, let's jump in a little bit. We'll take a little break. As you can see, I'm fired up. It's Friday. Oh, by the way, did you vote yet? What do you mean you haven't voted yet? I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
The upcoming election isn't just about choosing leaders. It's about bracing for the economic fallout that could follow. You know, history shows that post-election periods can bring economic turmoil. But this time, with our national debt skyrocketing and global tensions rising, we could be facing unprecedented risks. We could see runaway inflation or even a currency crisis. That's why I encourage people to diversify and look at gold as a financial safety net. Gold has been said to be a reliable wealth shield for thousands of years through some of the worst economic storms. And for my gold investments, I trust Advantage Gold. They're who I buy from exclusively, and I recommend them to anyone serious about helping to protect their wealth. You can call them right now at 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000 for a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. You can even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. You'll be happy you did. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. These people have no respect for you. They think you're stupid. Maybe the people in their base are stupid, but you're not stupid. I'm telling you these things. You can hear my passion tonight because we need to do something about it. You need to vote. You need to vote early. We need to overwhelm these people. Overwhelm them at the ballot box. Overwhelm them. Get Donald Trump in there. He gets people in there who know how to fight back and push back, whether it's at the Department of Justice or Raskin in the House of Representatives. We need the Senate. We need the House. And we need the presidency. And we need them now. Now. There's no more time left. This is it. This is our moment. This is our generation's time. The greatest generation stood up. Other generations stood up. Our generation so far hasn't done a damn thing. Not a damn thing. Are we going to allow our country to be turned over to these people? Seriously? President Kamala Harris? Vice President Tim Walz? Are we kidding ourselves? Then it's game over. It's game over. Here's Bill Clinton in Durham, North Carolina. He doesn't care about this country. This guy's been feeding off this country for decades. For decades. And there he is out there, barely able to speak. Looks like he's 140 years old. Yeah, well, that kind of sleazing around will do it to you after a while, I'm told. Cut 4, go.
And he keeps talking about how he wants to get even and may have to call out the military on our...
Well, let's ask a question. Get even. Well, why would he want to get even, first of all? Not that he does, but why would he? Why would he want to get even, Billy? Why? Just because he was prosecuted in Manhattan in a Stalinist-like trial? Just because the Attorney General in New York used a phony statute to try and steal all his money and his businesses? I don't know. Why would he try to get even? Just because another DA in Fulton County, Georgia, and her lover? Just because they'd put up a bunch of phony charges? Just because they used an unconstitutionally appointed federal prosecutor? Not even a federal prosecutor. They dragged this guy's ass back from The Hague. Who files these phony lawsuits? Who has them used in the campaign? Why would he want to get even? I can't imagine why. But he doesn't want to get even. He wants to fix the system. And this is what Marxists and fascists do. They lie. They project onto the victim. They project onto the victim what it is that they are actually doing. Go ahead.
The danger within. I suppose that includes me.
No, you're not a danger. You're a fat old slob. You're a fat old slob who can barely function. It's a fat old slob who can barely function, probably sits in the corner at a McDonald's all day. Remember that? Slopping down the French fries. It includes me. No, you're an irrelevancy. You're an irrelevant. It doesn't include you. Even on the worst day, it doesn't include you. And I'll repeat this because we have so many ignoramuses who've been president, who are running for president, who are Democrats. The enemy within is a phrase that really comes from Abraham Lincoln in his Lyceum speech, one of the greatest speeches in American history, any history. You dumb bastard, you don't even know that. And many of the most brilliant statesmen in our history have used that phrase or have made references of the kind. Thomas Jefferson, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Joseph Story, Abraham Lincoln, Ronald Reagan. The danger within, I suppose he means me. No. Just because you're a pervert and a woman chaser doesn't mean you're the danger within. That's not what he's talking about. I'll be right back. Folks, we may be standing on the precipice of a post-election economic meltdown. Any election can send shockwaves through our financial system, but this time, the stakes could be higher than ever. Reckless spending, mounting debt, misguided policies has set the stage for potential economic disaster. We can see rapid inflation or even attempts to undermine our currency. That's why I've always relied on diversification and gold for protection. It's been said to be a timeless safeguard against economic chaos, and in these uncertain times, it's more crucial than ever. ever. When it comes to gold, I trust Advantage Gold exclusively. They're one of the top gold companies in America, and they're who I turn to for my own investments. Call 800-900-8000 right now for a free gold investment kit to see how gold can help protect you from post-election chaos. You might even qualify for $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional.
Mark Levin, the research arm of conservative media. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
Then you have this moron, Mark Cuban. I don't know. Everybody treats him with respect. Not me. He's a moron. Oh, Mark, it's good to see you, Mark. How are you? Shut up. It's a guy that used to own the Mavericks. Now he's a minority owner. He's around there trashing Trump because he's jealous of Trump. Trashing Trump, and yet the person who bought the majority stake of the Dallas Mavericks is the Adelson family. Sheldon Adelson, who was a great patriot, his wife Miriam, who is a great patriot, massive Trump supporter. Tens of millions of dollars in support of the Trump campaign. And this idiot, Cuban, or as Bernie Sanders would say, Mark Cuban, he's out there making an ass of himself, too. They're billionaires and they're billionaires. Multi-billionaires and then billionaires. What do I know? He's not even in the league with Elon Musk or Miriam Adelson. And here's Mark Cuban in Wisconsin yesterday, La Crosse, Wisconsin. Listen to this idiot. Cut 5, go.
Hear me when I say that Donald Trump...
And by the way, the people online, Mr. Producer, tells me, say that the way he's dressing and with his spectacles and everything, he's starting to look like Rachel Maddow. I think he does look like Rachel Maddow. In fact, how do we know he's not Rachel Maddow? Rachel Maddow looks like him. Go ahead.
Hear me when I say that Donald Trump...
I love this line that they all use now. Hear me. Another thing, Kamala, hear me, hear me. Shut up, you idiots. Hear me. Hear me. Like they're God speaking to Moses. Hear me. No, I don't want to hear you, you jerk. Why are there so many stupid billionaires? You know, I've often thought to myself, if that idiot can be a billionaire, should the rest of us be able to be billionaires? I look at this clown. I said, this guy with the misshapen head, he's got this massive head, may I say. Massive head doesn't mean he's got a big brain. It could be filled with a lot of bone, you know. And in his case, it is. But Mark Cuban there, this guy's a billionaire. When he was young, you know, he was probably working out of his mother's basement. He hit it hot on whatever it was, on computer something or other, the internet. And now he knows everything. He knows nothing. He's a schmuck. Hear me. Hear me. Hear me when I say, shut up, you jerk. Go ahead.
You to have a lousy Christmas.
Oh, Donald Trump wants you to have a lousy Christmas. So not only is he going to lock you up with the military, he wants to ruin your Christmas. Wow. I told you he's an idiot. Go ahead.
Donald Trump is that Grinch, the Grinch that wants to steal your Christmas.
Boy, he's got to be the lowest IQ billionaire that's out there, don't you think, Mr. Producer? And his voice is changing in mid-sentence there. I guess he's still going through puberty. Is that even biologically possible? Anything's possible anymore, I guess. Anything. So Donald Trump wants you to have a lousy Christmas, you see. After he's done rounding you up with the military and putting you in prison. You understand, don't you? Go ahead, Rachel. I mean, Cuban. Go ahead.
Now let me explain. People just don't realize how many of the products that we use on a daily basis are made in China. It's a lot.
Yeah, actually, doofus, we do, and that's part of the problem. Let me educate you. Hear me. Hear me. Please hear me. Communist China is trying to destroy us. That's why they're building the military that they're building. Their navy's bigger than ours? That's right. By 2030, they'll have more nuclear weapons and a modernized nuclear weapon inventory that we don't have. They've got 3 times as many soldiers. Their conventional warfare is quite significant. They're more advanced with hypersonic missiles. You schmuck. Oh, we're going to ruin Christmas. Trump wants to ruin your Christmas. So many of the drugs that you take to improve your quality of life or to survive are now made in China. Is that good? I don't think it's so good. And we have policies in place by these nimrods, Biden and Harris and their ilk, that enrich communist China. I have an idea. What's that? We'll get rid of the combustion engine, destroy our auto industry and all the workers that go with it. We'll go with these stupid electronic vehicles where you can drive 300 miles and then wait in line for an hour and a half and charge up your car. And you better hope you're not in a flood, because if you're in the car, well, you'll fizz out. Poof. Poof. 85% of everything that goes into one of these cars comes from communist China. 85%. Oh, and by the way, the electrical grid cannot handle. It cannot handle the Green New Deal and all the electric vehicles. We don't have enough electricity. We don't. Oh, we'll figure that out later, because Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, they're brilliant. They'll figure it out, won't they? I mean, after all, we have 8 charging stations for $7 billion. These guys are good. They know what they're doing. All right, go ahead, schmuck.
And this time next year, you're going to be making decisions on the Christmas presents you want to buy for family and friends, won't you? All the toys.
Doesn't he sound more and more like Bill Clinton to you? Doesn't he, Rich? Let's do this. Play 10 seconds of him and then go back to cut 4 and play 10 seconds of Clinton. Let's see how good you are on the board today.
Clothes, shoes.
And he keeps talking about how he wants to...
Yeah, I think they're the same person. Nah, he's actually Rachel Maddow. Go ahead.
Backpacks, even the good old book of dad jokes that I get every single Christmas. If Donald Trump is elected and he puts these 60% tariffs on Chinese products, they are all going up.
Hey, moron. There's already 100% tariffs on Chinese products, and Biden and Harris haven't lifted them either. So you see, I've made it clear over the course of my career, and even as recently as this week, there's tariffs and there's tariffs. I'm not a guy that says throw tariffs on everything, including our allies and products. However, on the enemy that's stealing our technology, that's stealing our know-how, on the enemy that is trying to put our businesses out of business like communist China, yes, you use tariffs because they're the enemy. You don't have open markets with the enemy. And he specifically points out China. Look how stupid this guy is. He's a moron. Truly. So he wants us to fund our enemy, while our enemy's destroying American jobs and American industries. I've talked to you already about McKinley. President McKinley. Late 1800s, he was assassinated in 1901. He was a big tariff believer. I don't agree with him. Well, he's gone, of course, but historically. And yet under McKinley, when he came into office, there was a horrific depression. And he put in place an economic program of growth and tariffs. And there was rapid economic growth in the industrialization of America, the early 1900s. The early 1900s. So when you have an enemy like China, let me ask this more on this. Should we have export controls? See, this guy came out of the computer industry or things related to the computer industry, the internet and so forth. These clowns don't believe in any controls. If we're up to them, they'd sell their soul and their mother to the communist Chinese for an extra buck. Oh, yeah, they would. Oh, yeah, they would. You know, there's a lot more going on here, a lot more morons. Hear me, hear me, hear me. We hear you, you dummy. There's a lot more of this going on today, especially, and I'm here. You know why? I'm America's fact checker. Mr. Producer, I'm America's fact checker. That's what I'm here to do. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
The upcoming election isn't just about choosing leaders. It's about bracing for the economic fallout that could follow. You know, history shows that post-election periods can bring economic turmoil. But this time, with our national debt skyrocketing and global tensions rising, we could be facing unprecedented risks. We could see runaway inflation or even a currency crisis. That's why I encourage people to diversify and look at gold as a financial safety net. Gold has been said to be a reliable wealth shield for thousands of years through some of the worst economic storms. And for my gold investments, I trust Advantage Gold. They're who I buy from exclusively, and I recommend them to anyone serious about helping to protect their wealth. You can call them right now at 800-900-8000, 800-900-8000 for a free gold investment kit to see how you can get started with gold. You can even qualify for up to $1,000 in free silver. That's 800-900-8000. Call them now. Tell them Mark Levin sent you. You'll be happy you did. Performance may vary. You should always consult your financial and tax professional. Number 13, Mr. Reducer. So this guy, Bob Woodward looks like he's already died, doesn't he, Mr. Producer? He's got the skin of an old man. He's got this speech impediment. Now, I don't make fun of people's speech, but I make an exception for him. He's a real slow thinker. Writes the same book every couple of years. Gets his payday. They push him on the usual corporate media platforms. After all, he got his start at the Washington Compost. If you don't get it, you don't get it. I don't get it, and I'm glad I don't get it. Where democracy dies in darkness over there at the Washington Compost. But in any event, he goes on to the Colbert Show. Now, nobody watches Colbert. Look, to be honest with you, I sell more conservative books than anybody else. I just do. We're number one. Why? Because of me? No, because of you. Our little radio audience, our little Blaze audience, my little Fox TV show audience. These guys, they're fighting to get on Meet the Depressed and Deface the Nation and Week, W-E-A-K, this week with whoever the schmo is. And there they are being pushed by the compost and the slimes and all the rest of it. And they go on these late night shows. They're not comedians, they're jokes. And they go on with these jokes. Nobody's watching, nobody gives a damn. And there he is with his gossip. Now, this low IQ buffoon who's been hanging around like a bat in her thigh rash, this guy who's a hemorrhotic, a.k.a. a hemorrhoid, here he is. Cut 13, go.
What makes him angriest is that he can't control...
All right, let me say, he's talking about Netanyahu. Go ahehed.
What makes him angriest is that he can't control Netanyahu, and the war has it's escalated in the last month, and it is something that Biden can't control. And Netanyahu's going to do what he wants to do, not just for what he deems in Israel's interest. Why? But the prime minister he's under indictment. He's hanging by his political fingers. And he is conducting the war, not just in the interest of Israel, but his own political interests.
To stay out of jail.
It took him 5 minutes to say what any Nimrod could have said in 4 seconds. Let me tell you something. This guy's a liar and a fraud and a phony. The most popular public figure in Israel today, it's not even close, is Netanyahu. His party has majority control. If there was an election today, they'd win in a landslide. A landslide. This clown doesn't know what a statesman and a leader is like. No, he doesn't. He thinks it's George McGovern. He's not hanging by his political fingers. Moreover, that legal case has all but fallen apart. All but fallen apart. It's another one of these phony legal cases, quote unquote, that the left uses in Israel like the left uses in the United States. These people don't believe in due process. These people don't believe in real cases. It's a phony, fake case. Now, see, if Bob Wood were on this program, I'd ask him about each individual charge, which I happen to know about, because they've been hanging around for a long time. I'd ask him, what are the elements of the charges? I'd ask him, who brought the charges? I'd ask him about the witnesses, because I've read up on this, too. I know about the witnesses. This clown's not a serious person. Not a serious person. He should be drawing comic books. Well, he pretty much has. Now, I don't know how many books he has sold. Almost nothing. Hillary Clinton just came out with a book. Stupid publishers, they pay her millions. I think she sold 12 copies. Nobody wants to read these people. Nobody's interested in them. The country's dying. The country's dying, and they think this is funny. Can you see? He's doing this to stay out of jail. No, he's not. They just got Sinwar. They knocked off Nasrallah. They're defeating Hamas. They're defeating Hezbollah. Iran is begging Biden to intervene to make sure that they can protect their nuclear sites and their oil sites. And, of course, Biden is helping them. He's a special pleader for communist China. He's a special pleader for the Islamo-Nazi regime in Tehran. That would be a book, Woodward, you moron. But of course not. They're not going to write a book like that. What do you mean? And so there he is on late night. And by the way, Colbert says, can you imagine a politician doing anything they could to stay out of jail? Oh, that's so funny. So here they are using Stalinist tactics against Trump and, yes, Netanyahu. These are historic, iconic figures, Trump and Netanyahu. These are people who actually love their country. And, yes, there are enemies within. You're seeing them. You're hearing them. These are the enemies within. This is exactly what Lincoln was talking about. And Jefferson. And Story. And Reagan. How dare you? How dare you ever... Shut up, you idiot. Can you imagine? Can you imagine having a discussion with this guy at the dinner table? I mean, you'd starve to death. Wait till he finishes, honey, so we're not rude. We're not eating while he's speaking. Well, I mean, what the hell? I don't want to miss dinner here. I'll miss a whole meal. And listen to what he says. He's an idiot. Boy. This is the nature of the beast right now, America. Nature of the beast. And then, of course, we have to go to Al Sharpton, who's on the Morning Schmo. Hey, Joe, is this the best you can do? Al Sharpton. You got to scrape that guy off the bottom of your shoe. Oh, yeah, there's a guy with a great history, Al Sharpton. Yeah. Look how they mainstream this clown. Just put him on MSNBC. Every reprobate, the way they mainstream themselves is to get a show on MSNBC. Look at them. You ever see a bigger bunch of morons? Yeah, maybe it's CNN. But in any event, here's Al Sharpton on the Morning Schmo Show. Cut 15, go.
I think it's been clear for those of us that have known and dealt with Donald Trump pro and con for years.
Oh, really? Really? Really, jerk? We know about you for years, too. People in New York, the people at Crown Heights. We know all about you, you clown. How dare you speak ill of Donald Trump? You of all people. I'll be right back. This segment of the podcast is exclusively sponsored by Pure Talk. Pure Talk offers great coverage and can save your family money on your wireless bill every single month. Go to puretalk.com to find the plan that's right for you. Thank you again for listening, and thank you so much for this sponsorship, Pure Talk.
He's here. He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Our number, 877-381-3811. 877-381-3811. The Arizona Capital Times of the Capital Media Services. Study says 32 million Christians likely not to vote. Excuse me? Study says 32 million Christians likely not to vote. What? A new study by a researcher at Arizona Christian University says 32 million Christians who are regular churchgoers are likely to stay home this election. And that, according to the report by George Barna, will likely hurt Donald Trump more than Kamala Harris. You think? But Barna, the director of research at the Cultural Research Center at the Glendale School, said it doesn't have to be that way. The key, he said, could be as simple as pastors encouraging people to vote in order to fulfill their biblical responsibility. Yeah, what do you say? An estimated 5 million regular churchgoers would be likely to vote as a result of that simple exhortation, he said. That in itself could change the outcome of the election by simply doing their job and getting congregants to fulfill one of their chief duties as an American citizen. Len Munsell, president of Arizona Christian University, called this a blockbuster report. Christians could be the deciding factor in a bunch of federal and state races and are choosing not to be, he said in a prepared statement. There's nothing in either the report or accompanying support material that suggests Munsell, the unsuccessful Republican candidate for governor in 2006, is urging pastors to specifically try to swing their flock one way or the other. But it does say the congregants are longing for their local church to instruct them on how to think biblically about policy and politics. The other side doesn't have this problem. The Marxists, the Islamists, the atheists, they come out in droves. The Bible teaches us in Proverbs 29:2 that when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when a wicked man rules, the people groan. And that goes for women, too. But without pastors willing to speak about the Bible's perspective on policy issues, and without them encouraging Christians to vote, it's hard to see how we can have the kind of godly government that would enable our people to rejoice. This is why I love Pastor Hagee. The idea of politics through the lens of a biblical framework fits within the mission of the school. 32 million Christians are likely to sit out this election. I mean, we got to get our act together here, folks. Pastors, you got to step up here. Freedom of religion is exactly at the top of Kamala Harris's list. I can guarantee you that. Look at all the people they're throwing in prison for daring to protest at Planned Parenthood and other abortion clinics. Oh, you have a right. Oh, yeah. To chase Jewish kids through the street and actually hurt them. You have a right to tear down the American flag and burn it, and burn the Israeli flag while you're at it, and put up the Palestinian flag, the Hamas flag, the Hezbollah flag, whatever flag. Oh, yeah. All kinds of rights for the left. But if you dare to protest at an abortion clinic, my God. That we can't tolerate, you see. We need you Christians to vote, for crying out loud. And you need to vote early. I mean, I'm really stunned by this, aren't you, Mr. Producer? You're Christian, you're voting, yes. But 32 million aren't. It's crazy. I mean, all right. But there's others, too. Let's see if I can find it in real time while the pressure's on here, Mr. Producer. Let's see here. What did I do with that? Oh, yes. You gun owners and you NRA members, what's your problem? Apparently 10 million of you are sitting on the sidelines. Say what? Yeah, I know. I don't get it. 10 million gun owners are sitting on the sidelines? 10 million? When the Second Amendment's under attack? Again, did you know Kamala Harris owns a weapon? Oh, she owns a Glock. Oh, really? What a joke. And Mr. Dummy with his shotgun? Oh, yes, I bought this many, many decades ago. Can't even load a shotgun. Now, I don't have a shotgun. I've never had a shotgun, but I can load a shotgun. It's the easiest weapon in the world to load. Is there an easier weapon to load than a shotgun? No, I don't think so. And here he is in the middle of his pheasant hunt. He doesn't even know which end of the rifle is which end of the rifle. But what do you expect from a guy that, girls are boys and boys are girls? Puts tampons in a men's room. Oh, yeah, that's cost efficient. So we have 32 million Christians who are not voting and 10 million gun owners. And, of course, there's some overlap there. I don't get it. I really don't. We're urging people here to vote early. Do I really have to urge people to vote in an election like this? Period? When everything's on the line? Now we have Kamala Harris. Did you know she's a prosecutor? Oh. One of the great prosecutors at all time. Can anybody name one case that she actually tried? No, not one. I've challenged the campaign on national TV and radio. Please give us the long list of cases that she's tried. And let's start with the most profound. What? This woman can't even complete sentences. She can't even complete a thought. Can you imagine her in front of a jury? I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood where people were focused on their lawns. Did you know that, jurors? Yes. How about the case? Oh, yeah. She's a toughie. You're going to learn something about her Saturday night on my opening monologue. And by the way, this weekend, it's very, very important. And the closer we get to the election, more important they are. Life, Liberty, and Levin, Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Please record it. Your smart TV or your DVR, however you do it. If you can't watch it live, if you can watch it live, please do that. I suggest you do both. You never know. There's football, there's baseball, there's whatever. We have Brigadier General Spaulding. This guy's unbelievable. First time I've had him on. And our brother, Victor Davis Hanson. I call him America's wise man. My opening monologue? Oh, my God. I spent a lot of time preparing for these. I don't have ghostwriters and editors like all these other people. What you hear come out of my mouth is from me. What you read in my books is from me. And then Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, a killer opening. And we have two tremendous guests. America's Governor Ron DeSantis, and superstar Byron Donalds of the House of Representatives. So you're not going to want to miss either. So if you've got things going on, please go ahead and set your record now. Friday evening's the best time to do it. So here's Kamala Harris, who's defending democracy. She's running to defend democracy, as all Democrats are. They just have a problem with the Constitution. They just have a problem with the framers of the Constitution, the ratifiers of the Constitution. They just have a problem with separation of powers, power of the purse being in the House, just a problem with the Electoral College. Come on now. Just a problem with most of the Bill of Rights and the 14th Amendment. Free speech, the right to bear arms, due process, equal protection, federalism. Come on. That's all. They love the Constitution, but for these faults, but for the white slave owners who wrote it, why be hemmed in by them? It's a living and breathing document. You know this. The words are malleable to fit the times. That's why we try and plug the courts with activists. That's right, because we believe in the people and democracy. Really, yes. That's why we built this massive Leviathan, this ubiquitous administrative state, or what some people call the swamp. So the vast majority of the laws and the fines and the penalties that exist at the federal level come out of the bureaucracy. Which one? We don't know. Who writes it? We don't know. The whole idea of the American Revolution was representative government. Tell me, where are representatives in the Department of Injustice? Where are representatives at the Environmental Protection Agency? Where are our representatives in the bureaucracy? We don't have any representatives. Exactly. So here's Kamala Harris at a rally in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And somebody I know was watching this, and she said she was so thrilled that thousands of people are here, and then they panned the audience, and there were a bunch of empty seats. She didn't even have her usual clapping seals there, like they do at Colbert and the other programs. So here she is, Green Bay, Wisconsin. What is she doing? Trashing the Supreme Court, trashing Donald Trump. She has no agenda. None. Zero. She's a do nothing and a know nothing. But don't worry, she's a woman. Ooh. So suddenly we're supposed to recognize the genitalia of the other sex, we guys. Wait a minute, wait. What happened to pronouns? Remember she announced what her pronouns was at some event? She's so woke. Ooh, she's so cool and progressive. Oh, she's a woman. Well, you could have fooled me. What do you mean by that? Excuse me. We're not supposed to identify people based on their genitalia. Oh. Biology doesn't count anymore. Oh. Here she is. Cut 3. Go.
The stakes are even higher because a few months ago, the Supreme Court told the former president that he is effectively...
By the way, those people yelling are what we call protesters. Let's start at the top, Mr. Producer. Go.
The stakes are even higher because a few months ago...
if you don't elect her, democracy's dead. If you don't elect her, a cabal on the Supreme Court. will take abortion away forever. Oh, yes. And they'll destroy the whole fabric of our country. We gotta expand the Supreme Court and put real justices on there, like a Politburo who do what we tell them. Oh, yes. Everything's on the line here. Democracy. The military's going to round you up. Oh, we know this. Donald Trump is a dictator. Oh, yes. You believe these nut jobs? You believe this crap? They're the ones who sick the FBI, the U.S. attorneys, the national security part of the Department of Justice, the U.S. Marshals on parents, on that infamous memo. They did it. They're the ones throwing grandmothers and mothers in prison for 2 or 3 years for daring to protest at abortion clinics. They're the ones who keep attacking the First Amendment. Oh, it's misinformation. That's not protected, you know. Now, the Hitlerians in the street going after the Jews, that's protected. You know that. But no. No. And they're the ones who tried to set up a special information review agency at the Department of Homeland Security. They're the ones who put the shoulder to social media to prevent information coming out about the president's son and the laptop. Oh, the laptop. Or vaccines or anything like that. If you don't go with the government line, you got to go. They're the ones. They're the ones who attack the whole notion of probable cause under the Fourth Amendment. Due process, equal protection under the 5th and 14th Amendments, not to mention private property rights. They're the ones. Go ahead.
The Supreme Court told the former president that he is effectively immune no matter what he does in the White House.
Now, she's not only a liar, she's an imbecile. The Supreme Court didn't say that the president is effectively immune while in the White House. It's an amazing thing. Up to the time of Donald Trump, no president ever was indicted, of course, but no person, there's never been a case where what took place in the White House, the discussions in the White House, the activities in the White House were subject to criminal investigation or criminal charges. It is the Harris-Biden regime and their boy Jack Smith, the unconstitutionally appointed rogue prosecutor. They're the ones that destroyed tradition and practice. They're the ones pushing the edge of the envelope. So the Supreme Court said, all right, hold on now. Immunity applies to the official acts, the official discussions of a president of the United States. We can't have unelected prosecutors bringing charges, because it takes nothing to bring charges, especially in Washington, D.C., against a president or a former president and violate the whole notion of confidentiality. How's a president supposed to serve? They don't care. Because they stand for the Constitution when they stand on the Constitution. But she lies. If a president of the United States is conspiring or colluding to commit a crime, a real crime, not a January 6th thing, but he says, I want you to knock off this guy over here, this senator over here. You can prosecute that. But you see, ladies and gentlemen, they want Donald Trump in prison. And so they've destroyed due process, equal protection. They've destroyed the proper appointment of a prosecutor. They've tried to destroy the notion of immunity for a president and his acts. They're the ones shredding the Constitution. And she stands there sanctimoniously with that voice I can't stand, to be perfectly honest with you, and lies about it. Just lies about it. And why is she doing this? To attack the independence of the Supreme Court. She's attacking the independence of the court. That's what she's doing. They want to kill the filibuster rule. They want to add seats to the Supreme Court. They want to add 4 more justices to the court. They want to take it over, take the court and turn it into their Politburo. This is what they do. This is what they do. But that's democracy, don't you know? I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
The big wireless carriers want to limit you to 2 choices when it comes to data, unlimited or unlimited. And guess what? Both are stupidly expensive. So folks, stop overpaying for data you're never going to use. That's like paying for a pot of coffee when you only need a cup, or filling your entire truck bed full of gas when you only need a tank. With Pure Talk, my cell phone company, you get to choose how much data you actually want. Listen to this. For just $25 a month, get unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data, which is more than enough, plus mobile hotspot. Folks, stop overpaying for wireless and get America's best 5G coverage with Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin. Switching is easy. There's no contract. There's no activation fees. You can even keep your phone and your number. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, Levin, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month when you sign up with Pure Talk.
When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
Are they better off now than they were 4 years ago?
Make it more affordable for people. What are one or two specific things you have in mind for that?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid. I grew up a middle-class kid. I grew up in a middle-class family. The American dream right now is really elusive. The American dream is, for this generation and so many recently, far more elusive. The American dream is elusive. It's just actually not attainable. You know, home ownership for too many people in our country now is elusive. You know, gone is the day of everyone thinking they could actually live the American dream. You know, we grew up, our parents, where they had the ability to somehow believe the American dream.
Hey, your father was a Marxist. What the hell are you talking about? I grew up in the middle class. 2 tenured professors. They earned a crap load of money. She didn't grow up in a middle-class neighborhood. Or maybe she did, but they weren't middle class. And her father's a Marxist. And she wants you to believe, we grew up in a middle-class neighborhood, like would they cut lawns and the white fence? No, she didn't. Your father was a Marxist bomb thrower. Go ahead.
Particular for groceries are still too high. The American people know what I know. Prices for everyday things like groceries are still too high. You know it and I know it.
Prices for everyday things like groceries are still too high. You know it and I know it.
I know prices are too high still. You know prices are too high still. And we have to deal with it. And we need to deal with that.
You have been vice president for 3.5 years. Yeah. The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
I mean, that's the bottom line. First of all, her steps wouldn't do a damn thing. Spending more money. You know what? We're going to give $1 million to black individuals who want to start enterprises. Well, that's fantastic, except it violates the Constitution. You're not allowed to give out money based on race, you idiot. Well, we're going to at least allow young black men. We want them to know that we're going to decriminalize, in fact, legalize pot. What, does every young black man smoke pot? I mean, this woman has less knowledge of young black men than I do. She's got none. I'll be right back. The big wireless carriers want to limit you to 2 choices when it comes to data, unlimited or unlimited. And guess what? Both are stupidly expensive. So, folks, stop overpaying for data you're never going to use. That's like paying for a pot of coffee when you only need a cup, or filling your entire truck bed full of gas when you only need a tank. With Pure Talk, my cell phone company, you get to choose how much data you actually want. Listen to this. For just $25 a month, get unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data, which is more than enough, plus mobile hotspot. Folks, stop overpaying for wireless and get America's best 5G coverage with Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin. Switching is easy. There's no contract. There's no activation fees. You can even keep your phone and your number. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, Levin, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month when you sign up with Pure Talk.
Don't ask him for middle ground. There is no middle ground. Talk with Mark Levin now at 877-381-3811.
So as I understand it, President Trump was on with our buddy Dan Bongino. And President Trump is everywhere. He's on radio. He's on TV. He does 2, 3, 4 events a day. Kamala Harris can't keep up with him. Kamala Harris couldn't even go to the Al Smith event that the Catholic Diocese holds in New York every year to raise great sums of money to help poor people, to help people who are sick, people who are in need. She did one of these fake videos. It was pathetic. Trump was hilarious. And by the way, the comedian was hilarious too. and watching Schumer's face, now that was frightening. It was like a science fiction movie over there, so I couldn't keep watching it. But now she has the gall to say that Donald Trump is the one who gets tired because of what he said on Bongino's show. And she's a liar. And Bongino has played it and made it clear she's a liar. It's not what Trump was saying. But it doesn't matter, folks. This is what empty pantsuits do. They cling on to something minor. They try and make it major. They try and create controversy. You want to see controversy? Look at Dougie Emhoff. There's a misogynist. There's a guy who's alleged to have slapped his girlfriend so hard she twirled around. There's a guy who couldn't keep his hands off the nanny. Oh, we're not going to talk about Dougie, are we? No. Oh, and we're not going to talk about Kamala and the F-bombs and the way she treats her staff, are we? No. No. Mark Cuban couldn't do any of that, could you, Mark Cuban? You big dunce. And what is with that blockhead of his? It looks like that sponge head. What is it with that guy? Anyway, so here she is with reporters in Michigan. It's like when she went after America's governor, DeSantis, who's dealing with one hurricane followed by another, making sure that resources of the personnel are where they need to be to help the people in the state. And what does she do? She's a drama queen. All of a sudden, he wouldn't return my call. He says, what the hell are you talking about? He wouldn't return my call. She has no interest in Florida, never had any interest in the citizens of Florida, through any hurricanes, 3.5 years, not in fentanyl, not on the border, not on anything. All of a sudden, he wouldn't return my call. You jerk. You who never went to a pre-hurricane event, a pre-hurricane meet. Can you imagine her in charge of anything? She's been in charge of things. She hadn't done anything. Anyway, here she is with reporters in Michigan. She thinks this is a big issue. Cut 7, go.
In addition, I've been hearing reports that his team at least is saying he's suffering from exhaustion. And that's apparently...
No, his team never said that. Liar, liar, pantsuit on fire. Go ahead.
Not doing interviews, and of course he's not doing the CNN town hall.
Oh, he's not doing CNN town hall. He's been in front of more hostile media every time he steps out of his home. He's in front of hostile media. Every time he does an interview, other than conservative talk radio and a few cable shows, he's in front of hostile media. What are you talking about, you jerk? Brett Baer made mincemeat out of you. He couldn't handle it. He couldn't handle it. Go ahead.
Is to do another debate, and
why should he do another debate with you? So the moderators can help you again? You think you were so great in that debate? Snarky, personal attacks, lying through your teeth? You're not a good debater. That's why you won't come on my show. Go ahead.
Being president of the United States is probably one of the hardest jobs.
Now, you know what? Shut up. I don't want to hear you anymore. Don't you feel like you get dumber and dumber when you listen to her? Dumber and dumber. Now, she, who's been hiding out like a veal calf, she, who still hasn't had a news conference, she is the least Democratic appointee to run for the presidency in the history of the presidency in this country. She's pointing fingers about Donald Trump being exhausted. You know, I know Donald Trump. I've been with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a very vigorous man. And you, Kamala, are no Donald Trump. That's right. You're the one who hides out. You're the one who has a Praetorian Guard surrounding you, waving off Brett Baer. It's over, it's over, it's over. Hurry, we give up. Come on, hurry. You're the one hiding from the press that loves you, that slobbers all over you. That's right. You're the hider. So Trump's on the tarmac today in Michigan, and he responds. This is a big issue you see now. Cut 8, go.
Kamala Harris said she thinks you're exhausted. That's why you're canceling events. Are you exhausted?
What event did I cancel? I haven't canceled. She doesn't go to any events. She's a loser. She doesn't go to any events. She didn't even show up for the Catholics last night at the hotel. It was insulting. All they are is sound bites. So today I was at Fox and Friends at 7 in the morning. I then went to 2 different other appearances. I I then made about 15 phone calls. I've gone 48 days now without arrest, and I've got that loser who doesn't have the energy of a rabbit. Let me tell you something. She should have been last night with the Catholics. So all they do is put out sound bites. Tell me when you've seen me take even a little bit of a risk. Not only am I'm not even tired. I'm really exhilarated. You know why? We're killing her in the polls because the American people don't want her. She didn't pass her bar exam. She's not a smart person. She's not a person that should represent our country. So I just want to let you know that very clearly.
We fellow patriots, we really need to turn out en masse. We can't sit this out. Many of you are not going to sit this out, but you got to help us get these other people out. We need to literally crush them at the polls, crush them. We need to send a message to the Democrat Party. We need to send a message to the media. We need to send a message to the world that we Americans are better than Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and these losers, these frauds and these fakes. We need to send a message to the whole world that America's back. That America is back. That the American spirit is here. That we stand on the shoulders of the great patriots, and we're proud of the great patriots who founded this country. We're proud of the men who wrote our Declaration and put their lives on the line in the Constitution. We embrace our economic system. We have the greatest businesses and workforce on the face of the earth. We cannot allow these people to defeat us, to dispirit us, to usurp us. And that's what's happening. They live in a dark world, and they're trying to drag us into it. They live a world of lies and deceit, and they're trying to drag us into it. No. I say no. We need to turn out en masse. We need to vote early. We need to get people out to vote. If you're a patriot, it's time that we exercise our patriotism while we still can. That we exercise our free speech while we still can. That we exercise our vote while it still matters. This is the election. Right now. Right now. This is it. There's no time to waste. When this weekend is over, we have about 2 weeks left. If you haven't been focused and energized, now's the time. And by the way, it's not doing something by asking the guy or gal sitting next to you, you think we're going to win? I'm worried if we lose. That's just chit-chat. That gets us nowhere. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
The big wireless carriers want to limit you to two choices when it comes to data, unlimited or unlimited. And guess what? Both are stupidly expensive. So folks, stop overpaying for data you're never going to use. That's like paying for a pot of coffee when you only need a cup, or filling your entire truck bed full of gas when you only need a tank. With Pure Talk, my cell phone company, you get to choose how much data you actually want. Listen to this. For just $25 a month, get unlimited talk, text, and 5 gigs of data, which is more than enough, plus mobile hotspot. Folks, stop overpaying for wireless and get America's best 5G coverage with Pure Talk. Go to puretalk.com/Levin. That's puretalk.com/Levin. Switching is easy. There's no contract. There's no activation fees. You can even keep your phone and your number. Again, that's puretalk.com/Levin, Levin, and you'll save an additional 50% off your first month when you sign up with Pure Talk. This bum Bob Casey in Pennsylvania is like a 99% Schumer, Biden, Kamala Harris voting rating. He's voted against securing the southern border. He's voted against all the things that Donald Trump and Dave McCormick support, his opponent. So guess what? They're dropping multi-millions of dollars of ads starting tonight where they're trying to show him as a moderate. They're showing a couple, a married couple, one sort of a liberal Democrat, one sort of a conservative Republican, on how they agree that Bob Casey is their candidate because he supports tariffs now. And Bob Casey supports securing the wall. And they'll spend millions of dollars lying to the voters of Pennsylvania. And this is going on all over the country. Look at this slob, whatever the hell his name is, in Arizona, the Democrat. Serves his pregnant wife with papers right before she's to deliver her baby. Files the divorce papers under seal, demands that she pay his attorney's fees. And has spent millions and millions of dollars trying to lie to the people of Arizona that he's a moderate when he's an open borders fanatic. Fanatic. Gallegos, or whatever the hell his name is. Ruben Gallegos. Ruben Schmuckago. Then you have this clown in Texas running against Ted Cruz, a radical leftist. Slick, man. This guy's slick. Lying about his position. So this is the head fake. The Democrats have been told, pretend you're a moderate. Pretend you're reasonable. Pretend you have common sense. Now, we know you don't. You're in Washington, D.C. doing all kinds of crap, destroying our country. But we're going to give you enough money. We Democrat Party oligarchs, we the ruling class, we're going to give you enormous sums of money to lie over and over again, the big lie. And we have the in-kind media in our back pocket. We've got Pravda, Al Jazeera, the Democrat Party media. They're in our back pocket. They'll do what we tell them to do. Fake Tapper, Wolf Blitz, and the other reprobates. Oh, yeah. We got this covered. We got this covered. They hope to lie their way to majority in the Senate, lie their way to the majority in the House, and lie their way into the White House. You just have to understand that the Democrat Party has become an evil Marxist Islamist party full of propagandists and liars and reprobates. All the anti-Semites, all the racists, all the criminals. That's their home base. Non-citizens voting. They go into court. You can't take them off the list. Well, they say they're a non-citizen. They're on the voting list. And you don't have to have voter ID. I mean, how are we going to stop from the voting? Hey, you can't prove fraud. This is the game. This is the game. This is how they intend to destroy us. We need to turn out en masse. 32 Christians sitting at home. What the hell's that all about? 10 million gun owners sitting at home. What the hell's that all about? We need early voting. We need masses to come out. We need to turn out like never before. Like never before. I implore you. This is the perfect weekend. It's the perfect weekend. Yes, you can watch baseball and football, but pick up your damn phone. Call your neighbors and your friends and your family. And many places in the States, you can vote over the weekend. Then go vote. Do whatever you want to do, but in between, go vote. And get other people to vote. Every one of my family members has voted. Every one. We never voted this early before, but we are now. We're going to take their system and ram it down their throats. That's correct. That's correct. Otherwise, they're going to ram their system down our throats, and we will have no way to respond. So we spend a lot of time in talk radio, conservative talk radio. We spend a lot of time upset about what's happening in the country. We spend a lot of time denouncing the enemy, that is, the people who are aligned against us. We spend a lot of time, and there's a reason for it. But now's the time to act. Our framers gave us a way out of this. This is the only way out of it. This is it. And it's now or never. I'll be right back.
He's here. Now, broadcasting from the underground command post, deep in the bowels of a hidden bunker, somewhere under the brick and steel of a nondescript building, we've once again made contact with our leader, Mark Levin.
Hello, America. Mark Levin here. Benjamin Netanyahu is the Churchill of the Middle East, and it's very endearing when other people regurgitate what I say. That means it's having an effect, and that's a good thing. But we've been saying that for years. And he's the only leader in Israel who could have done what they've done. Sinwar, Nasrallah, Hezbollah's on the run, Hamas is almost finished off, and Iran, they're wetting their robes over there enlisting Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and Antony Blinken to intercede so Israel doesn't blow out their nuclear sites and their oil sites. And, of course, that's exactly what our chameleon of a president and vice president have done. So Sinwar's dead. And I noticed that Biden, Harris, Sullivan, and Blinken were trying to take credit for it. And I'm going to address this over the weekend. They're the ones who told Netanyahu he better not go into Rafah, and this is where all the chief genocidal maniacs were. And you got to go into Rafah to get them. And they were cutting off arms. They were leaking against Netanyahu, smearing him. Kamala Harris wouldn't conduct her responsibility as vice president to sit in the chair of the president of the Senate when a head of state comes to talk to the House and the Senate, trying to humiliate him. Meanwhile, she stands shoulder to shoulder, or shall I say breast to breast, with that Tlaib and Omar and all the other Jew haters. Meanwhile, she enlists the help of the mayor of Dearbornistan, another Jew hater, to get out her vote. She's trouble. She is bad, bad news. So she didn't want the IDF going into Rafah. She doesn't want the IDF right now in Lebanon. That's amazing. We're getting stories now that some of these people who've lived under Sinwar are actually celebrating his death. Well, they can thank the great liberator, Benjamin Netanyahu. The Lebanese people don't want to live under the iron fist of Hezbollah. Many of them are also celebrating. They can thank the great liberator, Benjamin Netanyahu. 80% or more of the people of Iran don't want to live under the Islamo-Nazi regime there. Well, the great liberator, Benjamin Netanyahu, is focused there. But the great buffoon, Harris and Biden, the two buffoons, they stand in the way. President Trump supports Netanyahu. He supports Israel taking out those nuclear and oil sites. He said so publicly. He doesn't talk about Israel's the right to defend itself. Israel has the right to win, he said, and they should win and win quickly. Just you have the right to defend yourself. And here he was on the tarmac in Michigan today. I want you to listen. There's background noise, but listen carefully, because he's emphatic about this, that Israel has a right to survive, that it has the right to defeat the enemy. Cut 12, go.
You're going to talk to Prime Minister Netanyahu about it?
He's called me, yes. He's called me. I have not spoken. I'm going to speak to him probably now.
What are you going to tell him?
Well, look, he's doing a good job. Biden is trying to hold him back. Just so you understand, Biden is far superior to the VP. He's trying to hold him back, and he probably should be doing the opposite, actually. I'm glad that VP decided to do what he had to do, but it's moving along pretty good. Everything's moving along.
See, he's a big supporter of the state of Israel. He always has been. He's a supporter of Benjamin Netanyahu. And the Democrats hate Netanyahu because he stood up to Obama. And Obama runs that party. He's the invisible hand. He's the Marxist Fengali behind this party. And he hates Netanyahu, and he hates Israel. Of course, there's a lot of suckers out there who are wealthy, who don't want to believe it. They were raised as Democrats, and they'll always be Democrats. Party before country, party before family, party before faith. That should be their, that should be their mantra. But I wanted you to hear that. But you know what? We keep the foot on the gas pedal, but let's have a little fun. What do you say? I've been hitting it hard, and rightly so, I might say. Thank me very much. It's a public service. Yes. Let's listen a little to some of the really funny jokes that Trump gave last night at the Al Smith dinner. And I want to remind my Catholic friends, the Al Smith dinner raises an enormous amount of money for Catholic charities. It's a bipartisan event. Everybody has attended this thing from both parties, except Mondale, and he got swamped. And now except Kamala Harris. She really shows her ankle. I mean, not with her pantsuit, but she really shows her ankle ideologically when push comes to shove. So let's go to cut 17, Mr. Producer. Go.
Chuck Schumer is here looking very glum. Doesn't he look glum? He looks glum. But look on the bright side, Chuck, considering how woke your party has become, if Kamala loses, you still have a chance to become the first woman president.
You jerk.
And I actually said, do you mind if I do that? He said, no, you got to do what you got to do. He's a pro. He's a professional. No, he's a good man, actually. I hate to say it. Don't ever use it against me, please. They'll say, this dinner was really setting me back when I say it. I've known him a long time. There's a group called White Dudes for Harris. Have you seen this? White Dudes for Harris. Anybody know? Are some of you here? White Dudes for Harris doesn't sound like it. But I'm not worried about them at all because their wives and their wives' lovers are all voting for me.
This is funny stuff. And the comedian, what was his name, Mr. Because I can't remember. He is hilarious. I've seen him before. What is it? Gaffigan. Gaffigan is good. Really fun. I mean, he was equal opportunity. It wasn't all Trump. It was hilarious. Let's move to cut 19, Mr. Producer. Go.
I used to think the Democrats were crazy for saying that men have periods. But then I met Tim Walz. The stupid show, The View, is so bad now that the other day I was watching it and thinking to myself, you know what? They really need to bring Rosie O'Donnell back. That show is bad. Those people are bad. I know every one of them, and they are bad news, I want to tell you.
Yes, they are. And then cut 20, Mr. Producer. Go.
We have another former New York City mayor with us, frankly, easily the worst in our history. And it's not Michael, that I can tell you. I'm surprised that Bill de Blasio was actually able to make it tonight, to be honest. He was a terrible mayor. I don't give a shit if this is comedy or not. He was a terrible mayor. He did a horrible job. That's not comedy, by the way, that's fact. But unlike the rest of New York, at least Bill doesn't have to worry about the criminals. They owe him big. He let them get away with a lot of stuff. Well, I'd better wrap up because Mayor Adams told me earlier that I needed to make this one very quick, especially the city has reserved this room for a large group of illegal aliens coming in from Texas. That's right, they've reserved many rooms.
It was hilarious. He was terrific. And you watch Schumer over there. You know, that guy was having a conniption. Although he always looks like he's having a conniption. Actually, he always looks like he's giving birth to something. Doesn't he, Mr. Producer? I think he does. Elon Musk at Town Hall in Folsom, Pennsylvania yesterday. Cut 1, go.
I'm a technologist. I know a lot about computers. And I'm like, the last thing I would do is trust a computer program. Because it's just too easy to hack. It's too easy to add just one line. And it's really difficult to hack paper ballots. So, it's in-person voting with proof of, with ID, which, by the way, every country has. I mean, like almost every country that has democratic elections requires in-person voting with voter ID. This is weird. It's super weird to not have that. I think that's the only way to effectively address fraud. Well,
let's be honest. It's because the Democrats are all about fraud. That is, they are frauds. And they want illegal immigrants to vote. And they want people to vote twice. Because that's what they encourage. We don't. One more. Cut 2. Go.
Well, I think in general, the amount of waste that happens with the federal government is really staggering. It's a staggering amount of waste of taxpayer money. And if we're, for any given expenditure, we have to say, well, what does this do for the citizens of America? Like, how is this good for the people of America? It's their money. Like, for some weird reason, a lot of people in the sort of, state or whatever, the politicians, they seem to forget that the money being spent is your money.
I want you to think about this, folks. 2 billionaires have come forward to try and save this country. And they've put their necks on the line. They put their money on the line. They put their reputation on the line. Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And there's others, too. But these are 2. Trump, by far the most prominent, of course, Elon Musk. They didn't have to do any of this. Now, if they're willing to put their necks on the line, if Donald Trump is willing to be an assassin's target, whether it's Iran or any of these other absolute nut jobs, we have at least an obligation to vote early and to get friends and family to vote now, too. That's minimal compared to what these men are doing. I'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Welcome back, America. You know, there's senators that put their shoulder to the wheel, and they work hard every day for our country, for liberty, for our security. They're not flamboyant. They don't seek the spotlight. They don't seek the cameras and so forth. And yet when it comes to reelection, they got to fight like hell, because they typically are running against people who have no substance, but that's all they are, flamboyant, drama queens, drama kings. Deb Fischer is a solid senator from the state of Nebraska. Senator, how are you?
I'm doing well, Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing very, very well. Now, tell us about your race in Nebraska, and then I want to talk about your opponent's views versus your views, because they're pretty stark.
They are indeed. They are indeed. Well, I'm a conservative rancher from rural Nebraska, and I'm running to make life better for our working families. As you know, I'm on the Armed Services Committee. I'm second in seniority on that committee. So number one duty of Congress is to make sure that we provide for the common defense. And that's so very important in this day. And that's why I vote to strengthen our military. But I also believe we have to support our police. We have to close the border if America is going to be safer. And I want Nebraska to stay a great place to raise family. So that's why I voted to kill regulations. I want to stop spending that fuels inflation. And it's why I'm trying to be able to champion a conservative solution for paid family medical leave.
And you do an excellent job. You know, you are able to work with other senators and so forth and so on. Now, you're running against somebody who's pretty radical, who's down the line with Harris and Biden. Tell us about him.
Yeah, my opponent is named Dan Osborne. He says he's an independent, but he is really Democrat. He is supported by out-of-state Democrats like George Soros. He supports amnesty for illegals. He wants to put them on Social Security. I mean, he has been recorded saying those things. He brags about wanting to kill the filibuster. He is pro-choice. He is supported by the gun control lobby. He is really too far left for Nebraska, and voters are finally realizing that. We've been able to get up on the air, get our ads up, and people are understanding that this is no independent. And he's not going to fool Nebraskans. You know, he's not going to fool Nebraskans.
And I'm guessing they're spending a boatload of money to try and recreate this man and trying to smear you, and they're doing this in every state. I'm guessing that's happening. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah. You know, he, as I said, his funding comes from out-of-state billionaires, George Soros-type billionaires. He's raised a boatload of money on Act Blue, which funds Democrats. Mm-hmm. And he has 2 super PACs that are out there. So he has already spent over $10 million, or his super PACs have, in ads attacking me. And they're just making bigger and bigger buys here in Nebraska for more and more ads. And, you know, it's hard to fight that. But like I said, I think Nebraskans are going to see through this, and a Nebraska Senate seat is not going to be for sale. We are out working hard. I always travel the state. Nebraskans know who I am. We work well together on important issues for the people of this state. And he's an unknown quantity, and he really doesn't delve into any kind of depth on any issue.
Well, what is his background? I've never heard of this guy before.
No, he's a union guy. He led a strike against the Kellogg Company in Omaha a few years ago, and it was just announced a month or two ago that Kellogg is now leaving Omaha and taking about 500 jobs out of the Omaha area. We had a city councilman who even came out and said that, Dan Osborne is the reason those jobs are going to be gone now for Omaha. But that didn't get much or any press coverage in Nebraska. So we're just trying to get that message out on who he really is.
Now, Senator Fischer, if people want to help you in Nebraska or the whole country, where do they go?
They should go to debfornebraska.com. That's DEBFOR Nebraska.com. And, we could really, really use the help. As I said, we're having millions come into this state in attack ads. And, of course, we have the deal in Nebraska where we split our electoral votes.
Yeah.
So in Omaha, they're working there. The Harris campaign has put in over $20 million in Omaha. I'm sure that's going to continue to increase as well. That affects my race too when you have that kind of money come in to Nebraska. So anything people can do to help, wow, I'd really appreciate it.
Don't you find it interesting with the Democrats pretend that they're always underfunded, they're the party, the little guy, and they have these like billionaire oligarchs and this dark money that pours in, and they always outspend our candidates for the Senate and the House like 2, 3, 4 to 1. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and I don't think most people realize that, Mark, that Republicans are always outspent. I was outspent in my first election with Bob Kerrey. There's a lot of money out there, and as we are learning, it seems to be a bottomless pit that the Democrats can just keep scooping into to fund those negative ads against us.
I literally don't know of any of your colleagues who are Republicans and up for election who are outspending their opponents. It's just amazing to me, whether it's Texas, whether it's Nebraska, whatever state it is. It's the same thing. Well, Deb Fischer, if it helps you, I'd like to endorse you. If it doesn't, then we'll keep it quiet. DebForNebraska.com.
I appreciate that.
All right, you got it, kid. DebForNebraska.com. DebForNebraska.com. She has my seal of approval there. Our brothers and sisters in Nebraska. Good luck, man. Take care of yourself. And we'll be right back.
Mark Levin, the thunder on the right. Call in now, 877-381-3811.
So, folks, Saturday and Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I hope you'll check out Life, Liberty, and Levin. If you can't watch it live this evening, go ahead and set your record on your smart TV or your DVR or however you record it. I recommend you do both, honestly, because sometimes you think maybe I'll be able to watch it, but then you run out to dinner or something like that, which is understandable. But these are very, very important programs, and I'm doing them for us, the country. I don't need them, seriously, but I do it because I think it's important. And so I hope you'll check them out, 8 p.m. Saturday, Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Sunday, Eastern Time. We have great guests. Now, you have hosts that are on TV 5 days a week. Some of them are 6 days a week. They run through 50 guests. I don't do it that way. Twice a week. It's on the weekends. 2 guests, total of 4 guests. And I do a 15 to 20-minute opening statement, and I hope you'll check it out. We have fantastic guests on Saturday. We have Victor Davis Hanson and Brigadier General Spaulding. You may not know him. You should know him. He's fantastic. And Sunday, tremendous. We have America's Governor, Governor Ron DeSantis, and our superstar friend Byron Donalds. And 2 very, very impactful, important, substantive programs. And this is an important weekend. Every weekend should be a weekend where you're trying to figure out how to spend at least some time on making a difference for November 5th. In a minimum, early vote. In a minimum, work your family, friends, colleagues, and coworkers. Just tell them politely. You got to get out. This is how you do it. Let's go. If you want to work at a precinct and step it up higher, that's important too. Or make some calls at a phone bank or any of these things. It's very, very, very important. We outnumber them. But their energy level, it's amazing. When you want to destroy things, you got a high energy level. And these are wrecking balls. And they want to destroy our communities. They want to destroy our school systems. They want to destroy the nuclear family and parental rights. They're anti-religion in so many respects. It's just unbelievable. That Constitution belongs to you. That Constitution stands between you and tyranny. And they're at war with the Constitution, despite the fact that they keep yammering about democracy. They don't even know what the hell democracy is. They don't support democracy. They support mobocracy. There's a big difference. Mobocracy, you see it in the streets. Those aren't Republicans burning the American flag. Those aren't Republicans chasing Jewish students. Those aren't Republicans saying the things they're saying, doing the things they're doing in our colleges and universities, in the media and so forth. They're Democrats. Many of them are Marxists and Islamists, but they work and live and operate under the umbrella of the Democrat Party. And the great men who founded this country and gave us this Constitution, they gave us an opportunity to deal with this. And Benjamin Franklin, he's not the only one who said, listen, if a nation loses its virtue, there's nothing we can write to save it. Constitution or none. And that's the truth. We just need a little elbow grease. Not a lot. From each and every one of us. This upcoming election isn't just about choosing a leader, even though that's crucial. It's about liberty versus tyranny. It's about capitalism versus socialism. It's about Americanism versus Marxism. Let's see, I've got other things to do here, Mr. Producer. There's one other thing I wanted to get. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what I'm doing. So you know why I'm a little hesitant here. After 2 hours or so, when I'm sitting in the same place with this brace on my knee, I'm not complaining, I'm just explaining. The pain is enormous because the blood is not flowing properly. My leg is straight out, so I have to get up. So I get up on this walker, and I've been doing the last hour or so literally standing in this walker, as I need to do. So that's why I have to lean over to get to the computer. Mr. Producer, we haven't taken many calls this week. In fact, I don't think we've taken any. Who do you recommend? Yeah. WVNN, Athens, Alabama. That's right near Huntsville. I love that part of the country. Robert, how are you, my friend?
Good.
Speak to me or forever hold your peace.
I believe we're on a really high precipice, Mark, and it's really dark on the other side.
Yep.
And once we go over the precipice, we're not going to come back. And this is all happening now.
I happen to agree with you 100% because these people, they don't believe in just changing policies, and they want to destroy the system and replace it. They're attacking the voting system, the open borders, immigration, where they want to reshape the population, as they said in the New York Times. They want to destroy the entire purpose of a Supreme Court, the independence of the court, the things that they say about other candidates, the dehumanization, and how that triggers all these nut jobs, and what they say about us who don't agree with them. The idea that teachers and bureaucrats should come between parents and their children, and we can go on and on and on. And they intend to enshrine this so we can never change it. Isn't that their game plan?
Yes, it is. But, you know, I've heard you talking a little bit. Some of your show got cut off the radio, but I heard you talking about the polls on the Christians and the people that own firearms and all this stuff. If they don't go out and vote, they're going to lose everything. They're going to lose everything. And I don't understand it.
I don't understand it either. But, you know, rather than admonish people, I'm telling them, let today be the new day. You're a person of faith. You have more reason to vote than anybody else. If you're a person who lives under and practices the Bill of Rights, like the Second Amendment, you need to vote more than anybody else because the Bill of Rights are under attack constantly. Faith is under attack. Look at this extremism on abortion. Their bill that they voted on in May of 2022, it has nothing to do with Roe v. Wade. It's the most extreme bill on the face of the earth. There would be no ability for a doctor or a nurse or to opt out based on religious conscience. There would be no ability for a hospital, let's say that's run by the Catholic Church and nuns, for them to opt out either. These are iron fist Marxist Islamist mentalities. That's what they are. It's frightening.
It's just pure communism.
Yeah.
Not even. Well, Marx was the father of communism, I think, if I'm not wrong.
No, you're right.
Karl Marx.
Marx and Engels, his buddy Engels. Yep. And Karl Marx, just so people understand, Karl Marx was a slob. He rarely showered. Karl Marx relied on his father, who was a lawyer, Germany, for much of his money. Karl Marx would play the stock market. Karl Marx didn't exactly live as he preached. None of these genocidal maniacs do. And you know how he started out? He was a reporter.
No.
And he actually wrote sometimes for a New York newspaper. He was a so-called journalist, like so many of the rest of them. All right, my brother, thanks so much for your call. Who else do we have, Mr. Producer? That was a great call, by the way. Say again? Wayne in North Carolina? How are you calling us? How are you listening to us?
I'm listening to Patriot Radio, Mark.
Beautiful. We love them. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I wanted to call to tell you that this is day 2 of early voting in North Carolina, and I went to vote. I am a Christian MAGA patriot. And I wanted to mention the fact that I went to vote, but you alluded to, and the last gentleman mentioned about the Christians, 32 million Christians, 10 million NRA members that will not vote or don't want to vote, and also others. This is what I want to tell you, and I want this to go to those people that may be listening that do not want to vote. I'm in western North Carolina where the Hurricane Helene hit hard. I'm near Asheville. I'm just a couple miles west of Asheville. And if anybody has paid attention to the news about this storm, it was so devastating. But the thing is, my point is, there are many mountain roads still in this area that are impassable. And I was standing in line to vote today, and there was a gentleman who was telling us that what they are doing, there are many people getting on ATVs or whatever means of transportation to get to those that are blocked.
Oh, yeah. Well, let me say this, because we have to take a hard break. God bless you, my friend. And you mountain people, whether you're in western North Carolina, or you're Montana, you're in Alaska, you are the hardiest people in this country. And I want to God bless each and every one of you and wish you all the best. Thank you, my friend. We'll be right back.
Mark Levin.
Well, the weekend is upon us. You know, the weekend, for most of us, you can recharge your engines a little bit. And maybe you have errands to run. Or maybe you have a second job, like unfortunately so many people do. Or maybe you do things that you enjoy, watch sports, do sports, whatever it is. It's very, very important. But at the top of your list, I don't care if I'm a broken record, it's early voting in almost every state in the country. Now's the time to exercise your vote. Now. Bring your spouse with you, your significant other, bring a family member with you, it doesn't matter. Folks, we need to crush them politically and in the vote. We need to overwhelm them. They need to see a turnout like they could never even imagine, ever. I'm counting on you like you're counting on me. We go to America every Friday in honor of you. Here we go. Liberty and Levin, Saturday and Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Set your DVR, record it, watch it live. Please check in. I know you're going to like it. The week is officially over. The weekend begins now, and we vote en masse. We overwhelm the enemy. We salute our armed forces, police officers, firefighters, emergency personnel, our truckers, our brothers and sisters in Ukraine, our brothers and sisters in Israel. We have your back. And you, the American citizen, red-blooded Americans. Good night, Spritey and Griffey and Pepsi. Good night, Smokey and Zelda. Good night, Indy and Patton and Rory. Good night, Gigi. Good night, my little Barney and Marty. Good night, Dad. Good night, Mom. Good night, Leo. Good night, Joe. Good night, Bernard. And good night to all the other great patriots who are not with us. And I'll see you on Fox tomorrow.